Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Today I am having a magic talk with Toad, as we've been doing. Uh, Today we're doing a take on Value Vintage, where it is vintage, which is just one of the Magic Gathering's oldest formats, if not the oldest one. But technically Standard's the oldest, because that's Type 1 or whatever. I'm sure Toad can correct me.
I'm just gonna let you say things.
Anyway, Value Vintage is vintage but on a $30 budget, which is often considered to be a Brewers Paradise, which is really fun to work in and explore the decks and play and see the sort of ingenuity and how things work together and how finely tuned the decks can get. And today we are going to try our hand at building one of my favorite deck archetypes. One that I've never actually personally played, but I've watched a lot about, and I've had a lot of friends play. And just a deck I love existing in Magic, and I love seeing it thrive. Because it is so almost antithetical to how Magic is supposed to work. But when it's working, it is working so well. It is a joy of a deck to see. At least in my opinion. And that would be Lantern Control. So we can't build Lantern Control fully as much as we like as it was in Modern a few years ago. But there's a lot of different cards and card choices in Value Vintage that are available that I think we can make something cool with. So I've gathered a handful of cards I think would work. And we can add more, get rid of some. But that's just kind of the pile of stuff I gathered together. And with Toad's help, we'll try to iron it out into a cohesive list. What do you think, Toad?
I'm looking at the cards. Have feedback.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
So the first thing that we need to decide is, are we running balance or are we not running balance?
I think we should run balance.
Okay, take all these creatures out of here.
Okay. All of them are. I should have moved them to considering. Whatever.
All right, so we're going to run balance. So we're going to be a balanced deck. So that means we want to not have a ton of lands in play. So we don't want to have any spells, or not a bunch of spells that cost 3 or 4 mana. We're going to mostly look at 2 or 3 mana spells as our top end.
The most.
Take limited resources out of here.
Oh, okay. Limited
Blue
resources.
collar spell. Sorry, what were you saying?
I said limited resources out.
Yeah. Ghoul Collar Spell, Codex Shredder, Pixis, those are our core things, so we're going to keep those in here. Put Deafening Silences into the sideboard.
Okay. They're a lot more expensive than I thought they'd be.
Yep. Alright. I don't think this is a Ghost Quarter deck.
How often do we rely? How often are there like non-basic stuff? How often is there reliance on non-basics in value vintage?
How often can you afford to sacrifice a land in value vintage?
That's fair. That's fair.
If you want to do the shuffle thing, then I would run one of the cards that gives both players a land and not just goes quarter.
Got it.
I would say no Celestial Colonnade.
Okay.
And then put in 2 Castle Ardenvales instead.
Castle Arden. Did I spell right? I did. The main lock pieces, being Rest in Peace and Energy Field, are fairly cheap, which is good.
Yeah. I'm going to say move all of the black cards to considering for now.
Okay. All the black cards are in considering. Oh, wait. I forgot about Vindicate.
Yeah. Go ahead and put in 4 Prairie Streams.
Prairie. Did I spell that right? Praie? Or, no, fuck. How do you spell?
Prairie.
Thank you. 4 of them?
4. Yep, that's our main dual land.
Okay.
And then go up to 4 Seagate Wreckage.
Cool. So why are we moving the black cards to considering? Just explain your process.
Because we're not necessarily playing black.
Okay.
We can play Surgical Extraction because that's a colorless card.
Should I add that one back in?
If you want, yeah.
I know we rely on exiling the graveyard, but it might be helpful to have surgical in it while we don't have Rest in Peace. It's pretty heavy on the budget, though.
It is. Surgicals are expensive. Lanterns are expensive.
Lantern's 95 cents. I know it adds up, but...
Which is, it's expensive. Anything more than like a quarter is expensive.
Got it.
Take the metallic rebukes out.
Okay.
I don't think those are particularly good. And then add another Spell Pierce.
2 Spell Pierce.
Yeah, we're over budget already.
Yeah.
Go ahead and just cut the Deafening Silence. I don't think we can afford that version of that effect.
Okay. I meant to move considering a wall. A lot of lists only run Pixis. Should we only stick with one Pixis?
Let's do 2 for now, and then we can get rid of them if we need to make room later.
Okay.
Put two plains and 3 islands in.
2 plains. And 3 island. Wrong button. Island. Cool.
And then we might want more lands in this, but I've seen several lists that are on 18 or 19, so we're probably okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're over on spells main deck. Let's move. Let's cut 1 swords to plowshares.
Okay.
And that frees up a little bit of budget. A lot of the lists that I'm seeing are also running 4 mana sweepers.
That makes sense.
So Shatter the Sky, something we might run.
To considering. That would probably be why it's against token decks. Move to considering. Should we drop 2 of the Ghoul Caller's bells just because they're symmetrical?
I mean, I would cut Pixis before I cut Ghoul Caller's bells, just because it's a very similar effect.
Okay.
Pixis costs a couple cents more.
Alright.
I don't know that Surgical is that good when we're on Rest in Peace.
Okay.
Because even if they remove the Rest in Peace, we've already exiled the surgical targets.
Yeah. So move those.
So I kind of think you want one or the other, not both in the same deck.
Alright, so move those considering and put the sweeper in?
Yeah.
Okay, I moved considering. And then the sweeper is... You're not in the sideboard, you're in the considering. Move to main deck. And we want to have 2 of them. That definitely frees up the budget a good amount.
Yeah. I think we have plenty of budget if we don't run any surgicals.
I mean, we could be a Luris deck, but... well, no, we can't because Shatter the Sky.
Yeah, well, Shatter the Sky doesn't stop Luris, but it's a Rest in Peace deck.
Yeah.
We have 4 Rest in Peace.
Do we want to put more counter magic in there?
Maybe. Let's work on a sideboard before we start tuning things in the main deck. So okay. I'm going to say to go ahead, just put 4 Damping Sphere in.
Alright. Excuse me. Move to sideboard. Add more. Let's stop Storm.
No, not really. It slows down Storm.
It stops High Tide, that's what I meant. Sorry.
put in 4 test of talents in the sideboard.
That's good. Alright, 4 test of talents.
And then 4 ley line of sanctity.
Oh, that's good. That's only 50 cents, I'll be damned.
Yeah, those are a good one to run.
2 of them?
4.
4 of them.
Maybe 3, but I think 4.
Okay, 4 it is.
And then those last 3 slots, I think we want like some artifact enchantment removal, so we might just run regular disenchant.
Alright.
And then I'm gonna step out for a minute while you think about what you'd like to run.
Alright. I'll look at some other list and see what they're doing. I looked at a few, but I'll look at a few more. Lantern, control value vintage. $30 Esper Lantern control. Last updated about a month ago. So, Luris, Duress, Inquisition, Test of Talents, Source of Plowshares, Damping Sphere, Codex Shredder, only 4 Codex Shredders, 4 Pixis, 4 Lanterns, Rest in Peace, Energy Field, Omen of the Sea, Campfire, Soul of Cleansing, Damping Sphere, Luris, Depopulate. Why are they running Luris as a Rest in Peace deck? Interesting. This is Omen of the Sea, which I guess is kind of neat. Compare that to us having a bit more counter magic and balance in there. They don't run Mishra's Bauble. But they run Duress and Inquisition. What other lists are there? Lantern Control, Value Vintage. Let's see what this one looks like. This is Rainbow. Oh, it's a Psychic Surgery deck. More of a meme than anything. This does look like a meme. This seems like a bad list. We are not building this. This is trash. I like Psychic Surgery and Soldier of Fortune. I like that combo, but it's not very good. That's a trash one. We'll close the trash one. Value Vintage Lantern Control. See what this says. Let's see if it loads. Survey says. Mountain, Song Plains. Tormod's Crypt, Mishra's Bauble, Lantern of Insight, Ghoul Caller's Bell, Pirate Spellbomb, Codex Shredder, Pixis of Pandemonium, Sorcerer's Spyglass, Norn's Annex. That seems too high mana cost. Like 4 life and 3. It runs 2 Surgical Extractions and 2 Abrupt Decays. Abrupt Decay seems like too much mana. And then Garper Aether Grid, which is just a backup win con. ours relies a little bit more on other stuff. What's the difference between Pixis and... That's Exile. Pixis is 29 cents, and Google Colors is 18. Interesting. So Norn's Annex is nearly $2.
Alright.
I've been looking at some other lists. I found one that's kind of what we're trying to do, but it's a Luris list, despite running Energy Field and Rest in Peace.
So I was going to say we could actually build, like we've got a list for together already. I was going to say we could build an alternative list that was not a Rest in Peace version.
Okay.
And I was thinking we could do blue black or mono black maybe.
Interesting. Let's wrap up this version and then we'll see what we can do.
I mean, this version is pretty much wrapped up. We've got a 60 card main deck and a 15 card sideboard.
Okay. In that case, let me... open up Moxfield again. Wrong one. Up here. Said mono black or what other colors?
We could do blue black or we could do green black.
Okay, so what would we start with?
So put in 4 Ghoul Caller's Bell, 4 Codex Shredder, 4 Lantern.
Ghoul Caller's Bell. Four Lantern of Insight, 4 Ghoul Caller's Bell, and 4...
Yep. And then 4 Extirpate and 2 Surgical Extraction.
Extirpate. 2 Extirpates?
4 Extirpates.
4 Extirpates.
And 2 Surgicals.
Cool.
Right, and then put Aluris in the sideboard.
Luris on the side.
Companion him up. Or up.
Set as companion.
Alright, let's put 4 Momentum Breakers in.
For Momentum Breaker.
Stream is lagging.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there was a network error. Please try again. All right, we're back.
Okay.
We're so back.
All right. I like Momentum Breaker. Still there?
I'm waiting for Twitch to show me what's going on.
You can just watch the Discord stream.
But Drew, I want to watch the Twitch. I'm checking for issues.
On my end, it says stream quality is good.
All right, well, I'm looking at your screen, and it is on Google.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at.
All right, well, we gotta look at the deck.
I was looking at other lantern stuff. There you go. Look at the
But I
deck.
gotta look at the deck.
Look at the deck.
All right. 4 Cabal Therapy.
Cabal the Rappy.
What's our budget looking like?
We are at 1998.
Ooh, it's expensive. All right, go ahead and put 18 swamps in here.
Okay.
Those are going to be placeholders because we're probably not running 4 actual 18 swamps. No, you leave those Jurassic Park swamps in there, Drew.
No.
We're going to buy those and we're going to run them.
Absolutely not.
Unacceptable. You have betrayed me for the last time.
Ah!
All right, so we got 16 slots to fill.
Yes.
All right, put... I think we probably should have more creature removal. Put 2 Haunting Echoes in here.
Haunting Echo. What does that do? There's all cards target
It
players
does surgic.
Oh, yeah. 2 of those?
Yeah. Honestly, we could run 4 and make that like the whole point of the deck. Would you like to do that?
No, let's have a little bit more resiliency here.
I mean, we can cut out the extra pates if we do that, which frees up budget for a good removal.
I don't know. Haunting Echo seems a little bit too expensive. Like, 2 of them's fine, but I think leaning into it a little bit too heavy is a little bit too heavy.
Well, we want to be able to resolve one pretty frequently. All right. I'm going to say go ahead and just cut the extra pates and put in 2 more surgicals. I don't think we want to max out on those.
Okay. We want surgical over extra pay?
Yeah, because surgical can be cast for no mana, so like you'd make them discard with Cabal Therapy and then use surgical on.
Okay.
I don't really know how the matchups are going to work for this deck. Like, how are we beating control and aggro and combo? And do we want to add a second color?
We could splash white for board wipes.
Unless we want to run balance specifically, we don't need to run white for board wipes. We can just run black board wipes.
True. You mentioned blue or green. What are you thinking there?
So if we run green, then we can play some regrowth effects and get back the stuff that we've milled with our Ghoul Color spells. And green also gives us some more interesting graveyard options.
Okay. Do we want to run that one witch and get some tokens from it so our Cabal therapies can be a little bit more valuable?
Which witch?
The witch that makes bugs. The pest witch.
No.
Oh.
That is not what we would do to make tokens in this deck. We have a grand total of 10 cards that trigger her.
Well, we can put in more discard cards.
Why would we play more discard cards when we're trying to make our opponents not draw anything in the first place? Do you know what would be a really funny card to build around?
What?
Zur's Weirding.
Let me see what that does. Players play their hands revealed. If the player would draw a card, they reveal instead. And then another player might be life if the player does. Interesting. That would be an interesting build around.
And it's cheap.
Do we want to put that in here?
Yeah.
Alright. How many?
Let's do 3. And then if we're in blue, we can run some card draw. And some counter spells.
Alright.
Let's put in 4 Thirst for Knowledge.
Okay.
And then 4 Lose Focus.
How are we going to make creatures in this deck?
Why would we make creatures?
For the Cabal therapy?
We're gonna work on it, Drew. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Cabal therapy doesn't have to be flashbacked to do its job. Just keep that in mind for other decks. Let's go ahead and fix the mana base. So 4 Sunken Hollow. And then 4 Spire of Industry.
How many swamps do we cut? 6 swamps?
Yeah. Probably should run a basic island or 2 also.
How many lands? You want 20 lands? Or 19 lands?
It's hard to say. Like, we have 4 and 5 drops in this version, so I'd probably run the 20th land.
Okay.
And then we can run some lands that do other stuff. Put one Narset in here. The Planeswalker one. The War of the Spark one.
She's restricted anyway.
Yeah. And then she can find artifacts, right? Not just instants and sorceries.
Oh, we can't have her in the deck because of Luris.
Oh, you're right. That's so sad, Drew. We can't have Zura's Weirding either. Alright, get Luris out of here.
Alright. Move Narset back to the main deck.
Gotta reach Sanitarium. Costs too much, doesn't it?
I don't think so. I don't think it's that expensive. Gyre.
Let's spend a couple dollars on those.
Yeah, it's $1.
Yeah, run 2 or 3 of those. Let's just say 2 because it's legendary.
Okay.
And then we want 1 Nether Spirit. Look at that, Drew. It's a creature for Cabal Therapy.
Hooray!
Alright, how many cards do we have in the main deck now?
1 minute. 59.
Alright.
Should we run Pixis?
No, we don't want Pixis because we want to put the cards in the graveyard so that we can Haunting Echoes or Surgical Extraction them.
Ah.
We can't run any more creatures, but we could make creature tokens.
How much is Bitter Blossom?
A lot.
Ah.
But there's some amass enchantments that amass stuff.
Oh, like the zombie one?
Like the zombie one or the orc one. Dreadhorde Invasion. Yeah, we could run Dreadhorde Invasion.
Sure. That's 60 in the main.
We could also run Corpses of the Lost. So which one of those do you prefer?
I think Dreadhorde's a little bit better because of the Cabal Therapy.
Okay. So cut the corpses and add 1 Dreadhorde.
Yeah.
And then we gotta find a cut.
We're at 60.
I want to say cut Thirst for Knowledge. Yeah, or add 1 Dreadhorde and then we have to find a cut.
Like, we're at 60 with Dreadhorde.
Add a Dreadhorde.
Okay, 2 Dreadhordes.
And then we have to find a cut.
Or remove a Thirst for Knowledge.
Yep. And then I think this is a playable main deck. If we're not a Luris deck, then we don't want Momentum Breaker, though.
Oh, I think it's still good.
We could run a better Edict. We could
Alright.
run Chainer's Edict if we're not running Luris.
But as Trainer's Edict also make your opponent discard a card.
Does Momentum Breaker have flashback?
It does not.
Not without Luris. I'm going to say add 3 Chainer's Edicts. And then I want to put a source of life gain in the deck that we can use from the graveyard. How much is Academy Ruins? That's been reprinted a couple times.
Let's see.
Do you know you can just see what it costs in Moxfield?
I could. Academy Ruins is $10 or $6.
Well, then we're not doing that either way. All right. I kind of want to do Thopter Sword stuff in this deck,
Okay.
but I don't know if we can fit it in.
We could cut a Weirding. That would give us 58 spots.
Yeah, cut a Weirding and cut the Dreadhorde invasions, because if we're making tokens with Thopter Sword, we don't need them.
Yeah.
And then put 4 Thopter Foundry and 1 Sword.
With Sword.
Sword of the Meek.
And we need 1 cut.
I guess cut 1 Thopter Foundry, we can run 3. Actually, move 1 to the sideboard. And then put 1 Sword of the Meek in the sideboard also.
Okay.
Alright, so that is a 60. Put 4 Crypt Incursion in the sideboard.
Crypt Incursion. Well, that's good. Four of them?
Yeah, I think we want just the flat 4.
Okay.
Because they're the best life gain option for this deck.
Yeah.
Alright, and then I think we want a sweeper for the sideboard. And I think it's just going to be Languish.
Okay. How many Languish? 4?
Probably 3 is fine.
3's fine?
3 is fine.
Okay.
But we do want to add some targeted removal also.
the sheriff or power word kill?
I'm trying to think if either of those has any issues. Power word kill is probably fine. Like, it only really misses the Sailor's Bane stuff. And we have Chainer's Edicts for those.
Yeah. I'll add power word kill into the side. How many? 3?
Two.
2, okay.
2. And then 3 Echoing Truth in the sideboard. Actually, we might want the Echoing Truths to be main deck. No, that doesn't work. We need a way to get rid of our Zur's weirding. Maybe we don't. Maybe we can just let them sit with no cards in library. Move one of the Chainer's Edicts to the sideboard.
Okay.
And then we need to put a bounce spell in here that we can either play from the graveyard or get back to our hand somehow. Just in case we get into a 0 card situation.
So we want a return spell with flashback?
Or something like that, yeah.
Return.
Actually, you know what would be really funny for this deck?
What?
Is if we put Cunning Wishes in it.
That might work, actually.
Because, like, we can take out these Thirst for Knowledges and just add a wish board.
Yeah.
So move 1 Surgical to the sideboard, because we're going to be able to wish for it.
We're at 3049.
Alright, well, what are the cards that are costing the most money right now? Surgicals.
Cunning Wish. We have 4 Cunning Wish. Do you want to go to 3 Cunning Wish?
Cut 1 Cunning Wish, yeah.
Put another Echoing Truth.
Move the Echoing Truth to the sideboard, because we have Cunning Wish now. And then put another Sword of the Meek in main deck. Because we can't wish for those.
Okay. We have 1 spot left.
And then that's 59 cards.
Yeah.
How much do Search for Azcanthus cost right now?
Oh.
Those are a couple dollars.
I don't think it's that much. It's $1.65.
Alright. Yeah, I think we can't afford that. Let's just add a regular land. Like
21 lands?
No, I guess 20 is fine. So we have 1 slot that we can put in.
We could put in another Trainer's Edict or Haunting Echoes.
Do you want to run the 3rd Haunting Echoes? That sounds hilarious to me.
I don't think it'd necessarily be good, but we could.
Take the sword out of the sideboard because we added 1 to the main deck.
Cool.
And then take two of the crypt incursions out of the sideboard because we're wishing for them now.
Okay.
And then put 4 duress in the sideboard just to have for the combo matchups. And then
Need one
take out a Chainer's Edict from the sideboard.
A minute.
Then we want to put put a Blue Sun Zenith in the sideboard.
That's Blue Sun's Twilight 1-1. $30.
All right, well, we'll make it work. Take out a Gaia Reach Sanitarium.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And then add... Take out a basic Swamp. And then I think there should be some cards, like some lands that we could run that are better.
Okay.
Are there any lands that let us put cards into our hand? Not draw cards, but just put cards into our hand.
There's that one blue land. I think that's $1 though. Ash Barrens.
No, we need to be able to like draw cards under a Zur's Weirding. You know what? Just put the Zur's Weirdings in the sideboard.
Okay.
And then add a third Zur's Weirding in the sideboard. And then move the Languish's main deck.
Okay.
So that is 15 sideboard, and we have 2 main decks that we want to find some lands, maybe.
Yeah.
Put 2 Nephalia Drown Yards in.
Well, that works.
I think we have a deck.
Cool. So which one do we have more faith in? The white-blue one or the black-blue one?
Well, I can tell you right now that we don't have extra Rest in Peace and energy fields.
I mean, just in general.
I think that Haunting Echoes is a hilarious card. I think the blue-black one will do better against control decks, and I think the white-blue one will do better against aggro decks.
Got it. Well, then it goes down to my other question. Which one should we test first?
I mean, we're going to test both of them. So just generate some opening hands for the white-blue one, since that's what we're on.
Kind of close these other tabs. Alright, so we have Plains, Lantern, Balance, Rest in Peace, Portent. Wait,
Unplayable.
Should we add... We have extra budget for this deck. Should we put in some better dual lands?
How much extra budget do we have?
$3 or $2.
Yeah, put in. Well, we don't have a lot of room for dual lands though, because we need some number of basics for the prairie streams.
True.
I would say just test it.
All right.
We can spend the budget on sideboard cards if we need to.
Okay. Deal another hand. Mishra's Bauble, Island, Spire, Lantern, Balance, Portent.
That is a great hand.
Let's play test it.
That's so good. That's just incredible.
So
it's like turn 1, we play Island,
Bauble,
Lantern, Bauble.
We need to view the top part of our library first. View top card.
Just drag it into play.
Oh, that's true. Cool.
Bauble. And then we can pass the turn.
Doing a portent our opponent?
With what mana drew? We cast a Lantern.
Oh yeah, you're right. Next turn. Put cool. We drew a rest in pieces on top of the deck.
Play a Bauble.
Play a Bauble. Play a Spire.
Play a Spire. Yep. Balance our opponent down to 1 card.
Lose a life. Balance our opponent down to 1 card.
And then we can pass.
Next turn. Draw a rest in peace top card.
Drew.
Lose focus.
Drew. Said we can pass, not to go to our next turn.
Oh.
We had all these baubles we needed to use.
All the baubles. Use all of them?
Yes. Why wouldn't we?
Cool.
And so then we go to our turn.
That's tap.
Now we draw 4 cards.
Next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. Top card is Plains.
Okay. Play a tapped Prairie Stream. And rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Graveyards in exile.
Right. Like, I don't know what we're trying to test for at this point. We've done the thing.
Yeah. Let's just see how it shapes up.
You're not really seeing how anything shapes up because you don't have an opponent.
Very true. Next turn, we draw the island top card is Lantern.
We need to portent ourselves.
Portent ourselves. Step back. View top. 3. Lantern of Insight, Swords of Plowshares, Codex Shredder.
Put Codex Shredder on top. And then swords.
Lantern, swords, Codex Shredder.
And then Playlet Plains. And we're going to pass, and we're going to assume that we counter whatever they play, because they're going to play something.
Cool. Lose focus. Do you want to replicate it just in case?
Probably.
Cool. And then we draw a card on their turn. What the hell? That's not what I wanted. D top X. Codex Shredder's in our hand. And then the card we drew next would be Swords.
Swords, yep.
Cool. Then we play Codex Shredder.
And we're gonna play Codex Shredder, and we're gonna portent ourselves.
Portent ourselves. Lantern of Insight, Codex Shredder, Portent.
Shuffle.
Close and shuffle.
And look at our top card.
The top 3 cards target player's library, then you may put them back in the order. Then you may shuffle.
We have a lantern.
Oh, yeah. It is rest in peace.
Mill it with Codex Shredder.
Yoink.
Look at the top card.
What am I doing? Ghoul Caller's Bell.
Great. Pass the turn and draw Ghoul Caller's Bell.
Next turn, Ghoul Caller's Bell.
Look at the top card.
Lose focus.
Tap Spire of Industry and play the Ghoul Caller's Bell.
Ghoul Caller's Bell.
And activate Ghoul Caller's Bell.
Top card is Energy Field.
Perfect. That's what we're looking for. So, like, I don't know. Like, at this point, we're doing the thing. This is what we're doing for the rest of the game.
Yeah. Turn 6 isn't too bad to get there.
No, because we had the turn 2 balance them down to 1 card and no creatures.
Yeah.
And then we exiled their graveyard too, so like they're not doing a ton. We had Lantern and Codex Shredder by like turn 4 or 5. Right, you want to run through a game with the other one?
Yeah. Let me type them up quickly. We'll give each one 2 playtests. We'll just interchange them. Because we have about 30 minutes left. So we'll playtest this one, then we'll playtest the other one, then we'll playtest this one, we'll call it a night.
Okay.
Cool. So this one is Spire, Swamp, Spire, Lantern, Cabal Therapy, Trainer's Edict, Lose Focus.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Alright, try it.
So we can Swamp and then Lantern. So now we know what our opponent's top card is, which will come in very helpful when we play this Cabal Therapy.
True.
Do you see my vision, Drew?
I see it now. I see it now.
So we can just pass the turn.
Okay. Nothing happens on their turn. We go to our next turn. Draw Cabal Therapy. Top card is a Cunning Wish.
Neat. All right, we can play Aspire. So then this kind of depends more on matchup than the other version did, because we're not trying to establish a hard block. We're trying to establish like narrowly focused control over an element of the game.
Got it.
So if we think they're going to play a spell that we need to counter, we can do that. If they have a creature, we can edict it. Or if they don't do either of those, like if we know they have a really good 3-drop in their hand that we need to deal with, like for Phyrexian Arena or a Planeswalker or something, then we can Cabal Therapy it.
Okay. So which one do you want to bet on? Just on average, what do you think would happen most likely?
I think the most likely play is that we're going to have to counter something.
Okay. So.
Actually, no, you know what? Let's do this. Let's play Cabal Therapy for the card that we know they drew, unless they've already played it out.
Okay.
And then we get to see what's in their hand, and we can play the other Cabal Therapy.
Very true. That's clever.
Like, I didn't even think about if we know that they have a card with Cabal Therapy, we can just auto hit on the first one and then take whatever's most important.
Yeah.
So that lets us do that. So then go ahead and pass the turn.
Next turn.
Then we'll play out the Spire.
Top card is Spire.
That is not great. I guess we can pass, and then we'll probably lose focus.
Cool. Pay 1, lose a life. Do you want to replicate it?
Probably not. Not this early in the game.
Okay. Then we go to our next turn. Draw Spire, top card is lose focus.
Alright. Play the Spire. And then, what do we have in the sideboard that we can wish for?
So we have Zur's Weirding.
Like, I know we have Blue Sun Zenith, we have Echoing Truth, we have Surgical, we have Power Word Kill, Crypt Incursion. So nothing that's really good right now.
Yeah.
Unless we want to Surgical them. Like, if one of the cards that we could Ball Therapied was like High Tide or something, then we could just get rid of those right now.
Do you want to count on that?
I mean, we can. Like, that is why I don't like using this to playtest games, because all of the decks in Value Vintage are very situational as to what they want to do.
That's fair. But, like, I still think this has some benefit to it.
It's pretty much just good for opening hands.
It helps sequence a little bit better. A little bit. Except for Dredge. Dredge is different. Alright, let's just... Cutting Wish.
No. Don't tap the swamp. Tap 3 Spires and Cunning Wish, and then we can just pay black for the Surgical.
That's true. Put Surgical in hand, tap Surgical, play Surgical, and rip apart their thing.
Yep. So we've now taken an important card, but we are starting to run out of gas.
Yeah. Next turn we got Lose Focus, and top card is Narset.
Yeah. Go ahead and Chainer's Edict them, tapping the swamp.
Chainer's Edict.
And then Lose Focus is going to counter their next play, probably.
Okay. So we lose that, lose a life, lose focus. Next turn, draw Narset, top card is Swamp.
Yep, so we're going to play the Narset, leaving Spire untapped. And then we're going to downtick the Narset.
And remove a loyalty counter. Hurst says look at -2. Well, top 4 cards library, reveal a non-creature, non-land from one point in your hand. So view top 4. surgical extraction is all we get.
Oh, then we're taking it.
And then put the rest of the bottom in the order.
I think that we are just dead. This game is, we're doing nothing for 5 turns.
Yeah. Cool. So that's that one tested.
Just run this one back, and then we'll start with and then we'll finish on the blue-white one.
Okay. Spire, Swamp, Ghoul Colors Bell, Haunted Echoes, Lose Focus, Stop for Foundry.
That's probably fine.
Do you want to try to risk it for another one?
Yeah, let's run this. Let's see how it plays out.
Okay.
We're gonna just play out the Ghoul Collar spell. Activate it immediately.
Trainer's Edict.
Yep.
Next turn.
Yep.
Surgical Extraction.
We're gonna play Lose Focus, or we're gonna play Spire, and then lose focus whatever they play.
Okay, go to next turn.
And then activate Ghoul Collar spell.
Lose focus their thing. Ghoul Caller's Bell. Spire of Industry.
Yep.
Next turn. Draw a Lantern of Insight. Let's go.
Alright, we're doing the thing. Play a swamp for the lantern.
Top card is Thopter Foundry.
Activate Ghoul Collar spell. Like, we don't know what the opponent has on top of theirs, so we have no clue.
Lose focus.
Play out a Thopter Foundry.
Lose life. Next turn. We draw the lose focus. Top card is Cunning Wish.
Activate Ghoul Collar spell.
Ghoul Caller's Bell. Top card is a Swamp.
Yep. We're gonna cast Lose Focus.
On their turn.
Unless they're casting something on our turn.
Cast Lose Focus. Doing a Surgical Extraction at 2.
We can. It depends on what it is.
Let's just assume it's something good. Next turn, we draw a Swamp. Top card is Island.
Nope, we do not draw a swamp because in our upkeep we're going to activate Ghoul Collar spell.
Cool.
We're going to draw this island.
Top card is
We're going to reveal
Languish.
the top card. We might want Languish.
Play the island.
Play the island. Yep. Then I guess it really depends on the matchup whether we want Languish.
Got it. Let's just assume we keep it.
Okay.
Next turn, top card is Ghoul Caller's Bell.
Just really doesn't feel like it's doing anything. I don't think that you can meaningfully play test stacks and prison decks without an opponent.
Got it.
Like, are we winning here? Who knows? There's no way to know.
That's very
We
fair.
the opponent could be on one card in hand and two lands and no meaningful board presence, or the opponent could have a Merit Lage token right now, and we just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. Let's close that one.
Let's run through one with the blue white just to do another opening hand. And we don't need to play it like 6 or 7 turns. We can just see, have we done anything meaningful by turn 3?
Okay. This is no.
That's probably a mulligan. That's probably fine. We'll put 1 Seagate Wreckage back.
Moved bottom library.
Alright. So run out Island, run out Bell.
Island Bell.
And then we're just not going to tap it because we don't want to give our opponents cards in their graveyard if we don't have to.
Okay. Next turn. Lose focus.
Play out the Spire. Then lose focus whatever they play.
Next turn. Energy field.
Play out the colorless land. Seagate. And then let's assume they have a creature, so we'll Swords a creature.
Yoink.
And then we're going to play the energy field. Because we have a backup if they manage to put a card in our graveyard.
Yeah. I'll go next turn. Mishra's Bauble.
Yep. Play out the Mishra's Bauble. And then we're just going to pass. Like, we're just hoping this energy field does something.
Codex Shredder.
Play out the Codex Shredder.
Do you want to tap the Shredder on their turn?
No, because we don't know what's on top of their deck.
True. Okay. Next turn. Spell Pierce.
Can't play that.
Cool. So, they can't really do anything to us, and we can't really do anything to them.
I mean, unless they can do something to us. If they duress us, then we can be dead.
True.
If they have an artifact removal spell, or a land destruction spell, or a mill spell, or a discard spell, or a disenchant.
Yeah. How often are decks running stuff like that?
Every deck. Every deck has stuff like that. 4 different kinds of effects. So enchantment removal does something, artifact removal does something, land removal does something, discard does something, mill cards do something, bounce spells do something because they can bounce the energy field and get in. Ways to avoid damage prevention like Bone Crusher Giant will let them get in.
Got it. Let's rip a rip from the top. Nope,
You
Sword
can
Splashers.
try.
Nope, Sword.
Nope, can't cast that. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there's too many little pieces that have to come together for both of these deck lists. And we don't have any real tutors. We don't have very much card draw in either list.
Yeah. At least that first game with the blue-white deck worked pretty well.
Kind of, but only because we had turned a balance in the opening hand and 3 baubles. Like, you're not always going to be able to rely on that, because balance is a one of, and baubles, you're not always going to have all of them on the top.
Yeah.
We can keep working on these lists. I wouldn't say that either of them are playable right now.
Okay.
I like Haunting Echoes a lot. It seems like a card that where if you play it correctly and you resolve it, the game is over. Like, we don't have to get every card in their deck if we're hitting 5 or 6 different spells.
Uh-huh.
But that might not be a card that we want to play in a Lantern Shell. It might go somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's also very difficult for the budget to build this deck because of how expensive lanterns are.
Yeah. I'm setting up the themes right now so that people who see the list on YouTube or on the Discord kind of knows what they're expecting. Would we call this a prison deck?
Yeah.
Okay. Call it stacks. Would we call this one toolbox because it uses cutting wish?
Potentially.
Good enough.
I just think, like, the main engine of the deck revolves around Lantern, and we don't have any ways to find Lantern.
Yeah.
So maybe Trinket Mage would be good, but at the same time, like, are we really doing that? Maybe we could run. I don't know. There's Fabricate is too expensive,
Yeah.
dollar wise. Forging the Anchor, I think, is too expensive mana wise. We could run a Tinker and like do a little bit of Tinker shenanigans, but that's going to eat up the budget really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this would be an awesome deck to tinker out of Bolas's Citadel.
That would be cool.
That might actually be better than Cunning Wish.
We have a
Because
lot
I
of time
think,
left.
I mean, if we want to work on that, I'm down to work on that for another 15 or 20 minutes. Try and put together a Bolas's Citadel Tinker version.
Yeah, we can do that. Let me just set the themes for the white-blue deck. Saurius. Control. Help wanted. No, not poison. Prison. Stacks. Save. Cool, so we're back on Blackest Night.
All right. Well, let's look at this. Let me jump back into the Discord screen. All right, so let's take out the cunning wishes. And how much budget does that give us already?
About $2.13.
Okay, so put in a Tinker, put in a Bolus's Citadel.
Bolus's Citadel is $8.
Really? I thought it was 4. All right, never mind. That's not going to work then.
It might not be the cheapest version. Let me see.
Well, update it to the cheapest.
That's the cheapest version. It's $8.
All right, then we're not doing that. Never mind.
Okay.
All right. I don't have any other good ideas for this deck. Let me sit on it for a while. We can come back to it later.
Okay. I think we did
It
pretty
might
decent.
just have to be a Luris deck.
Yeah.
I like the Nether Spirit thing. I like having a Narset as a prison piece. I think the core Lantern engine just takes up too much budget to do anything else interesting with these decks.
Got it.
Because once we put in the Ghoul Caller's Bell, the Codex Shredders, the Lanterns, and the Surgical Extractions, we're at like half of our budget already.
I don't think we're at that much. Lantern.
4 Surgicals is $9, 4 Lanterns is $4, and then it's like 50 cents and 50 cents for the other guys.
It's really not. It's $2 or $2.16 for the surgicals.
Yep.
$1 for the lanterns, 20 cents for Codex Shredder, and 18 cents for Ghoul Callers. So each ones are like a quarter at most.
Yeah, and then we're running 4 of them. So 4 Surgical Extractions is $9. 4 Lanterns is $4. 4 Codex Shredders is 50 cents. 4 Ghoul Caller's Bell is 50 cents. That's $14 or $15. We're already half our budget on those cards.
I guess.
That's how you have to think about this when you're building on such a tight budget. A card that costs $1 is really expensive.
Yeah.
A card that costs $2 is incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
If every card in our deck cost 50 cents, we would be over budget.
Yeah. That's fair.
So I think if Lantern gets a reprint or if Surgical gets another reprint and either one of those go down like another 50 cents, then we could definitely make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
But like baubles are also like 50 cents a piece.
Or about 89 cents.
Yeah. So we're looking at, just to get all this cheap stuff going, it's $15-$20. And then the rest of the deck has to fit in that last $10.
Yeah.
Like Rest in Pieces are 75 cents, Energy Fields are 75 cents.
Rest in Peace is 50 cents.
Okay. Energy Fields are 75 cents.
They're 80 cents. That's close.
So, like, Rest in Peace Energy Field is going to cost like $5 or $6 to get 4 of each. We're looking at like $1 for Soul Ring.
Yeah.
It adds up very quickly.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about, oh, I'm going to build a $100 EDH deck, then if the average cost of every card in your deck is $1, then you're fine. You're on
Yeah.
target. If you're building a $30 vintage deck and the average cost of a card in your deck is $1, you are more than twice your budget.
Yeah.
So you gotta rework your mindset to think, okay, I want cards that are under a quarter to be the core of my deck, and maybe I run one playset of cards that cost more than like $1.50. Okay. So like the Oath of Druids deck, you run your 4 Oath of Druids and your 1 Iona, and everything else you want it to be under a quarter.
Isn't Oath of Druids itself like $4 or $5?
Oath of Druids is like $3.50.
Yikes.
But you can make that work because the rest of the cards, like you play 4 Oath of Druids, you're at $13, $14. You play 1 Iona, you're at $15, $16. You play some Malevolent Rumbles, which are about 80 cents a piece, and then everything else is cheap.
Got it.
But if you're starting to build a deck where you're like, okay, I want a playset of this 75-cent card, I want a playset of this $1 card, I want a playset of this $2 card, I want a playset of this $1.50 card, you just don't have room.
Yeah.
And so, like, 4 lanterns, 4 surgical extraction, the deck is already not working.
That was my thinking. That was the problem I ran into with the little egg dude deck you and I were conceptualizing a while back.
Yeah, because you have to run Goblin Bombardment, and it costs several dollars, and you just can't do it.
Yeah.
Goblin Bombardment it's down to like $3, I think, but you still can't fit 4 of them, and Ornithopters, and Phyrexian Walkers.
Goblin Bombardment is $3. $2.71.
Yeah, $3. So if you run a playset of those, then you're already looking at $11.
Yeah.
And then I think Phyrexian Walkers are not super expensive, but they're maybe 50 cents. And then you need 4 of those for the breakfast combo. Or not breakfast, what is it?
It's $1.
Yeah, so you need 4 of those. So now we're at $16, $17. Ornithopters are basically free, but then you have to run the Enduring Renewals. And those are what? 50, 75 cents a piece, and you need 4 of those because you're not tutoring for them.
During renewal is $1.
Yeah, so we've got 4 of our 0-cost creatures, 4 of our other 0-cost creatures, and then 4 of each of our enchantments, and we're at $21.
Yeah.
So we haven't put any dual lands in, we haven't put anything in the sideboard, we haven't fit in any disruption or removal to actually make sure we can get to the point where we can cast a 4-mana creature. So it's rough. Like, it's just, you can put in Mog Fanatics, and we can use those to like chump block and shoot something, and then they become sort of a combo piece late game. But the $30 budget is very tight. Like, you don't get to just do whatever you want. We've got to laser focus on one thing that our deck is doing. Unless you can find a core combo for the deck where the cards are like bulk rare. So like if the core of your deck is 8 cards that are 25 cents a piece, then you're doing great. You can build whatever you want into that deck.
Yeah.
Like the Basking Brood-Scale Ghost Lantern deck, you can do all kinds of stuff because you have a 15-cent common and a 25-cent uncommon is the core of your deck. Run some unearths, those are 50 cents, you're looking good. But the Seed Shark deck that I'm working on, like the Seed Sharks are $1 something each.
Yeah.
And so you don't have a ton of room. Like once you're adding cards that cost more, so I think the average cost off the top of my head, like I'm not going to actually math this out. I think you need your average cost to be like 40 some cents for a card.
Uh-huh.
And that might actually be a little bit high, but I think if you have enough basic lands, then 40 some cents is what you're looking at.
Uh-huh.
So any card that you're adding that costs more than 50 cents, you're going to be hurting for it. And like if you add 12 cards that cost $1, you're in real trouble.
Yeah. It's definitely something that, like, the more we do stuff like this, I think the more we'll get a hang of it. Not, well, that's like you don't. Like you're leaps and bounds ahead of me. That's why I have you on. You're a good friend of mine. You know what you're doing. But I think as we do this in like the content sphere, hopefully, ideally, we'll have more people seeing this and giving their suggestions and their tips and all that, and we can really streamline what we're doing and get better and better at it.
So just as a general rule of thumb, if you're putting together a new deck, you don't want to build a deck that's playable somewhere else. You either want a deck that used to be good somewhere else and then it rotated out, or a deck that used to be good somewhere else and then it got banned, or a deck that only can work in Vintage but isn't anywhere near powerful enough for actual Vintage.
Got it.
So if your thought process is like, oh, this is a cool deck in Modern or Pioneer, let's build it for Value Vintage. Well, you're probably going to struggle because the cards for that deck have demand in Pioneer and Modern and maybe Commander.
Yeah.
But if you're like, oh, this is a deck that was good in Modern 5 years ago, but then Modern Horizon sets pushed it out, and it also accidentally caught a ban from some other deck, then you might be able to put that together because that's not a thing where people are competing for your cards. That's a deck where people are trying to get rid of stuff because they don't want to play it anymore.
Yeah.
So some standard cards can fit into this format, like Caustic Bronco is a good one, Deep Cavern Bat, stuff like that, where it's not the core driving cards of standard, but stuff like Corey Steel Cutter is
Nope.
just never going to be in this format.
Yeah, that's a nuts card.
Stuff like Up the Beanstalk and This Town Ain't Big Enough, maybe when they rotate out, maybe if there's bans in other formats, we can get those. But as long as that's one of the best standard decks, we're not going to get those cards. Or the best Pioneer decks or the best Modern decks.
Yeah.
It's just going to drive the prices up because the difference in this format between a card that is 25 cents and a card that is 50 cents is enormous.
Oh, for sure.
So you really want to look for stuff like Balance and Channel, where you cannot play it anywhere else. How do we make Balance work? How do we make Channel work in this format? You get the Border Post decks, you get the Lich's Mirror combo decks. How do we make Golos work in this format? Well, now you don't, because Commander Speculators drove his price up to like $6 or some crap again, so we can't play with Golos right now.
Yeah.
You can play Cloud Post without Golos. Cloud Post is banned pretty much everywhere, so we get a run with it here. You can play... You could build like Blue-Green Madness, which is a deck that is not good enough anywhere else except for pre-modern, but you could probably make it work here because Wild Mongrel and Roar the Worm and Arrogant Worm and Basking Rootwall are all bulk cards now.
Yeah.
I don't know if Circular Logic and Wonder are still like $1 each. They probably are not, but if that's the kind of thing you want to do, if you want to play a tempo deck, you can play one of the old tempo decks. We could probably build a Rebels deck in this format.
That'd be bad.
But when you want to brainstorm, like, don't think of how do we adapt this popular deck from somewhere else to here, because the answer is probably we don't. We're not gonna We're not going to build modern Tron and put it in value vintage. We're going to build a Cloudpost deck because Cloudpost is banned for a reason. It's
Yeah.
better than Tron. We get to do something better than Tron. We don't get to run Ugin. We don't get to run Karn. But what do we get to run? We get to run Steel Hellkite. We get to run Mirror Battlesphere.
Yeah.
All these cards that they keep putting in Commander precons.
What
So
drove
are those cards good enough for Modern? No, but we're not playing Modern. We're playing a $30 budget format.
what drove me to Lantern tonight, besides enjoying how the deck works, is that in Lantern and Modern and Lantern here are way different. It's the same.
Yeah, because
It's the same general idea, but Lantern
Lantern
and Modern is.
here, Lantern here doesn't get to run Ensnaring Bridge.
But does get to run
Like,
more other answers.
yeah, but Ensnaring Bridge does the work of Rest in Peace and Energy Field by itself. So instead of having one half of the combo and being like, oh, I gotta dig and find the other half, I can't find it, I can't play it out in time. You play your Ensnaring Bridge, no more attacks. You're done.
Yeah.
You have Ensnaring Bridge and Leyline of Sanctity, and they can't do anything. You're done.
Yep. But I think
Also in Modern, you get to run Urza's Saga, which finds all of your Lantern pieces.
I don't think some of them run Urza Saga. I think some do, but not all of them.
I would be very interested to see a deck that was entirely built around 1-mana artifacts, where it's correct to not play Urza's Saga. I want to go look at Modern Lantern. Hold on.
Well, we'll do it together because we're a little bit over on time, but we can have a long episode.
Right.
I know this one runs for Urza Saga.
I'm looking at all of them, and they all seem to run Urza's Saga now. They might not have before, but it seems like that's where the meta is at.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes sense. And honestly, Urza's Saga, couple more reprints, maybe we get that. Maybe we get to run Urza's Saga, and you can run that and search for your lanterns, and maybe you just run one lantern. Maybe you run 4 Urza's Saga, one lantern. Urza's Saga is like $5 at that point. You run 3 or 4 of them, and that's a big chunk of your budget, but then the rest of the deck just works. I don't know. Maybe.
I hope Blood Moon becomes a value vintage card.
Yeah, I don't think that Blood Moon is good in value vintage. I think the fact that you get basic lands for free means that every deck runs multiple basic lands.
That's fair.
But like, it's rough. It is really rough when you have to build your deck around a card that costs more than $1 and you can't run any tutors for it.
Oh, we could have put in the one tutor where, like, you tutor if your hand's empty.
Yeah, how much are those, Drew? Another dollar card.
I think they're like 50 cents. Not that one. Damn it, what the fucking...
I think if we do build Lantern, I think we want to run Ancient Stirrings.
Okay.
And we might want to run, like, Malevolent Rumble or something.
Got it.
But that puts us in Bant or Sultai, and so then the mana base is a little trickier, but we do have the Spire of Industries. Those are like bulk rares now. But I think we're going to have to just be done for tonight.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
I think we're running really long. Nobody wants to hear me rambling on.
That's part of the whole series.
But Drew, it's been 2 hours.
It's been an hour and 45.
They could have watched a feature-length movie. They could have gone to the theater and watched Sinners, and the time that it took to listen to us talk about how cards that cost more than $1 cost more than $1.
Very true. I might go see Sinners tomorrow night.
I am not, but you know what I do want to see when it comes out?
What?
The new Silent Hill movie.
There's a new Silent Hill movie coming out?
They're making a new Silent Hill movie. It's the director from the first one, finally, back. Not the one from the terrible second movie.
Interesting. Anyway, we'll wrap up this episode. I'll talk to you about the Silent Hill movie. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We really appreciate it. Make sure, if you're on Twitch, make sure to follow. Currently, how the schedule is set up is we'll post a new Value Vintage video or talking with Toad. We're not going exclusively limited to Value Vintage. If we end up doing like Popper or Pioneer or whatever, just changing up the format. Value Vintage is what we're sticking with now because that's what we're playing. But still, we'll do Magic Talk with Toad, new videos on Tuesdays at about 5:36. Then we should be streaming, or at least in theory, a new deck around 8:30 Tuesday night. So by the time you're seeing this video, we very well might be streaming in just a few hours. Working on a brand new deck, or looking at some of Toad's other decks. Who knows?
Just decking around.
Absolutely. So, thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The whole deal. Share it with your friends. Share it with your mother. Maybe don't share it with your mother.
Don't forget to click all of the buttons that allow this channel to creep into your emails at all times.
Yes, please.
Because the age of privacy is over and the age of being spammed by every service you use has begun. So let us be a part of that.
Absolutely, baby. Let's go. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and we will talk to you later. Bye!
Bye.